G'day, today we're doing a quick used review of the Adventure Kings, the 4x4 Super Center 1080 HD dash cam. I've had one of these in my car for about 18 months now. I run a couple of them, but right at the outset I have to say that my use of the dash cam is a little unique. And you want to factor this in my situation compared to your situation if you're looking to buy a dash cam for your car. And my situation is that I have a head unit, an aftermarket head unit. There's a review of that elsewhere on my channel. It's a 7-inch screen, and included in that head unit is a dash cam. And I've mounted that dash cam on the back window of my canopy on my Ram. I've mounted it on the back window of my Land Cruiser. And what I use it for is effectively as a 7-inch digital rear vision mirror as I'm driving along. So when I get in the car, turn on the dash cam, and I can see on that 7-inch screen what's behind me. I'm not driving along like this, obviously, but it's there. And particularly if it's raining and the back window gets wet, you put the rear wiper on or whatever, and doesn't quite get it as clean as you like it. Even with rain on the back window, even with dust on the rear window, I can see very well and very clearly the road behind me, and also it gives me the added benefit of recording everything that's going on behind me in case there's an accident. But the head unit only has the capacity for one dash cam, much to my chagrin, and I wanted to have a dash cam pointing in the other direction, forward. I think if you want to jump on a dash cam website in Australia, like Dash Cam Australia, there's a bunch of them. You can have a look at dash cam footages in Australia. And there's a lot of, let's say, silly accidents. People smashing into cars at the back or in the side or at the front. I think the days of just having a dash cam pointing forward are done. You want to have a dash cam in as many places as you can. You certainly want front and rear because some of the dash cam footage of people looking like either they're just completely not paying attention or they're deliberately trying to have an accident to make the other vehicle look like they were at fault. You know, you want to give yourself as much protection as you can. So I wanted a standalone dash cam, okay? I didn't want a front and rear integrated cam. I just wanted one that pointed forward, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on it. And there was a deal on with Adventure Kings where you basically got two dash cams, two of these 1080 dash cams for $100. Well, that's not too bad. So picked them up and fitted them to each of the vehicles. Looking around to do this video, you can get dash cams for about similar money, for about 50 bucks on sale. There's a Super Cheap Auto in Australia has a dash cam on sale at the moment for $50, just a standalone unit, forward facing or rear facing, depending on where you want to mount it. But it's only $720. This is $1080. But to get this out of the way first up front is the other day I had a motorcyclist in front of me doing a whole bunch of silly things, and I recorded what he was doing and sent it. Actually, I took it off the dash cam, sent it into the local police and also into Dash Cams Australia. And the footage is less than ideal. I wouldn't call it 1080. My windscreen was clean. It was a clear day. It should have been taking better quality footage than what it was. It was a bit more grainy than what I would say pure 1080 should be. So I was a little bit disappointed in the quality of it, to be honest. But according to the specifications, it is a 1080 dash cam. So we'll just take that at Adventure King's word. It's a basic dash cam. You know, it's very lightweight. I've had lots of like GPSs in the past. I've got these little remote dash cams which are mounted on the back of the vehicle. And the first thing, if I grab this dash cam out of here, the first thing I notice is it's very lightweight. Like it feels like there's bits of it missing. Like it feels like there's no guts in it. And when I first got it, I went, oh, do I have to assemble this or something? Because it just feels too lightweight to be a functioning dash cam. It's got a big LCD at the back of it, which is fine. And then the buttons that control it are on either side. Pretty easy to mount it. That's your mounting system, suction cup. That's a big mount. So if you compare the dash cam with the size of the mount, that's a reasonably compact dash cam, but it's got a good sized screen on the back of it so that you can see that it's recording. That mount is enormous. So it's not a compact thing. And a lot of dash cams now They're trying to make them more compact to sit out of the driver's line of sight, nice and easy to mount, but also not intrusive out your front window or rear window. So it's a very big mount. The dash cam is pretty big. I've got no problem with the dash cam and the screen. That seems to function quite well. The buttons are a little bit vague in terms of what they do, but that's okay. Like you just got it. They're kind of finished in a chrome finish, and I find you've got to really tilt them into the right light to be able to see the images on them to interpret what all the buttons actually do, which I find a little frustrating. The mount allows you to position the camera wherever you want. There's a little slot in the mount at the bottom, and then what you do is you just slide the dash cam into it like so, and then that holds it up. That mounting system is less than ideal. It doesn't click in, it just slides in, and then the pressure of you pushing it in there is the resistance on that plastic is what holds it in place. I find that less than ideal, and I have got one of my cars where I've actually had to glue it in place with a dob of super glue because I just couldn't get to stay in there. It just vibrate out all the time. So that's not ideal. You tighten this knob here to get your angle right. When you're happy with it, just tighten it up. And I've gotten one of my mounts has a tendency to come loose. But I do live on extended periods of dirt roads which can get corrugated, so maybe that's it. But this is a 4x4 adventure brand, so I would have thought it would have been a bit better than that. I do find the mount a little bit cheap, but it works for all intents and purposes. And if the biggest complaint I have is I've had to put a drop of super glue on one of them and glue the camera into the mount, I suppose that's not the end of the world. So anyway, that is what it is. It attaches with a little USB cable, and you can either plug it into your into a nearby cigarette lighter or whatever. I've got it wired in and got all the wiring hidden, so that's all fine. It's not the manual to learn how to use it is especially brief, and I don't find it particularly helpful, if I was honest. It's really a very, very brief. That doesn't tell you anything. The next page just says, oh, here's the camera and here's some buttons, and then it tries to interpret what they are. It's not a great manual, which doesn't make your use of the camera especially good, let's say that. So I think they could have done a better job with this to let you get a better ownership experience of it. I gave it to my wife and I said, can you figure out what this is, or am I just being silly? And she said, no, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. I was able to make some interpretation of it over time and figured it out just by button mashing what all the bits and pieces do. The manual's not great, I must say. But for $50, that might be all you get. So for my reviews, generally where I try to come to at the end of the review is, would I buy this product again? And I have to, as I said, up front, I have an integrated cam in my head unit, so I only wanted dash cam facing forward. Now, unless I was in that situation, I wouldn't own this camera again. I wouldn't buy it again. That's just the honest truth of it. I would buy a front and rear integrated cam. The front and rear integrated cams that are available, some of them are absolutely fantastic. You have the one near the driver, hit record, it captures front and rear instantly in one button push. That's really helpful, especially if you have someone who comes from behind you, clips you, and then goes on. You can capture both of that footage at the same time. I think that's very, very useful, and certainly more useful than having a separate cam back and front. With me, I've got the controls for the rear cam on my head unit, which is easily accessible, and I've got the controls for this cam easily accessible, so it works for me. But having two of these front and rear, I think would be a less than ideal solution. And if that's the base point that I was starting from, I would buy an integrated front and rear camera. In terms of under my current circumstance, where I've got that rear camera mounted, which I really like, I would do that again. I really like that integrated into the head unit. Would I buy this camera again facing forward? I might, is as best as I could say. I would look around again. I would see what's good value for money, and I would take into account the shortfalls of this camera in looking at a new one and whether it was worth spending the extra money. From where I am right now, I feel that it might be worth spending a little bit of extra money. But if $50 is all you've got, it's probably better than nothing. Probably better than nothing. So, but I would have the extra money and put one front and rear. But if it's the difference between owning a dash cam and never owning a dash cam, maybe this is a fine choice. One thing that I will say, I don't want to be all negative about Adventure Kings, because one thing I will say is very, very good, and thank you Adventure Kings for this. All of these units I've bought, Adventure Kings haven't supplied me anything, but I did blow one of these. So I was driving along, dash cam went dead. I went, oh, that's funny. Camera's connected, everything's fine. When I got to where I was going, took the dash cam off, and when is the power cable jiggled off, or is it not in the cigarette lighter plug properly? And I could smell the dash cam, like fried electronic smell. I went, oh, that doesn't smell good. I reckon it's fried. Yeah, no, that's stinky electronic smell. It had been running off the cigarette lighter plug. Everything else was working fine. Emailed Adventure Kings, said it won't turn on. I've got no record. Plug the power cord in, plug the micro USB cable in. Nothing. Nothing's working on it. It just won't give me anything, and it's had a bad smell. And even now it smells like it's burnt out. I was just operating it normally, never have a problem. I've got multiple of these cameras in my cars. This is the first one that's gone wrong. And the following day, I lodged the claim on one day. The following day, I got an email, yep, we've dispatched you a new one. And 2 days later, I had my camera. And I was really impressed with that, because in the past, I have had to make some claims. So this is a $50 camera, remember. I have had to make some claims on some GPS units. So back in the day, remember, when we didn't all have GPS as commonly in our head units, and we had this stick it on the windscreen model GPS, and I had reputable brands from a couple of different brands, and they broke under warranty, and I sent them back in to get repaired, and I had to take them back to the original place of purchase, which was already a pain in the backside because it wasn't where I live. And they insisted on, well, we've got to take it and we've got to do a claim. We've got to send it back to the manufacturer. And then if they assess it as a correct claim, they'll give it back to you. And I was livid. And the reason I was livid, because I was on the road for a job 5 days a week, and I needed my GPS. I said, you're going to give me another GPS while this is getting repaired? No. It should only take a few weeks, and then we'll get whether the claim's been approved, and then they'll dispatch one back, and then you can come down and get it. So I was a couple of weeks without my GPS before the claim got approved, and then another week or so before they sent the GPS back to that place to be refunded. They asked them to send it direct to me because I was in a regional area. They said they wouldn't do that. Then I had to make another trip into the place where I had lodged it and then pick it up. So it was no small amount of time. That's a horrible warranty experience. And I understand why they do it, because they don't want a fraudulent claim. But in terms of a consumer who's making a non-fraudulent claim, that's a very poor ownership experience. So for a $50 dash cam, for them to just refund it, yep, okay, fine, send you out a new one. That's awesome. Really, really pleased about that. Thank you, Adventure Kings. I was only without my dash cam literally for probably 3 days, from the claim going in to the new one being arrived. And because everything fitted in, just slot it straight in, away we go. Easy. So very, very thankful about that. So that's a big tip, because I always like someone who will honour their warranty, and it is worth mentioning that I had a warranty claim and they did honour it, no questions asked, which is great. Would have more than happily sent the old dash cam in and said, verify for yourself this thing is stuffed, and I didn't do it. It just broke, but they didn't require that. They issued the new one, so that's really, really good. So from that point of view, it's good. But as I said, if I went around and I just needed one single forward-facing dash cam or one single rear-facing dash cam, I would consider them. I wouldn't say it's an absolute lock that I would buy them again. But if I was in the market for a $50, $60 dash cam, and my choice was another cheap brand that I'd never dealt with before, or Adventure Kings, the warranty experience would probably get me over the line, unless the other camera gave me some feature that I desperately wanted that this didn't have. I can't think of anything that might be at this point in time, but if they did, then maybe I would buy that. So it's not a definite recommend. If you're looking to buy a dash cam and you don't have a dash cam in your car currently, I would recommend you steer away from this and get an integrated front and rear facing dash cam. You've got lots of options, but one that is controlled by your front forward facing unit and collects the data from both and makes it very easy for you to have front and rear protection in one single dash cam. That's what I would do. But if there's a different reason that you're looking to buy one, you only want forward facing. That's the good and the bad of the Adventure Kings 4x4 Super Center dash cam, the 1080 dash cam. It's still for sale today. At the moment, it's $60, including delivery. And if that's a good buy to you, that's my experience with it. I hope this video actually was useful to you, and I appreciate you watching.